Hey everyone and welcome. Today we're going to dive into a story that's all about one really powerful idea, trust. It's something that can literally build a reputation from the ground up and honestly change lives.
So, before we even get into the story, I want to ask you something. What makes a person truly trustworthy to you? Like, what does it take? Just kind of keep that question in the back of your mind as we go through this.
Okay, so let's set the scene. Picture this, the bustling, noisy marketplace of Mecca. It's just humming with trade. And in a place like that, your reputation, well, it was everything. And that's where we meet the star of our story.
His name was Hamza. And, in a city absolutely packed with merchants and deals being made left and right, Hamza, he was different. He really stood out.
So what made him stand out? Well, it all came down to these four things: honesty, integrity, fairness, and trustworthiness. And these weren't just words he threw around. Nope, this was who he was. It was so much a part of him that people actually had a nickname for him. They called him the Trustworthy Merchant.
All right, so this is where things get interesting. Another person enters the picture, a traveler named Abdullah. He's come from far away, and he's got a big problem, a problem that could literally ruin him. He needs help, and he's heard these rumors, these whispers, about a merchant in Mecca whose word was as good as gold. See, Abdullah was a trader, and his cargo was, well, it was incredibly valuable. We're talking rare spices, gorgeous fabrics, and actual precious gems. So you can imagine, he couldn't just partner up with anybody. He had to find someone whose honesty was absolutely 100% beyond any doubt.
So what does he do? He goes and finds Hamza. He basically bets everything he has on this man's reputation. He lays it all out, putting his entire fortune, everything he owns, right into Hamza's hands. And Hamza, he just listens and says yes, he'll help.
Okay, so a promise is made. But look, a reputation is just words until it's proven by actions, right? So now we get to the real test, the test of honesty. Over the next few weeks, Hamza gets his chance to prove what the trustworthy merchant really means. And Hamza's whole process, it was so simple, but wow, was it powerful. He didn't just say he was honest. He actually built a system that guaranteed it. Step 1, set fair prices. That brought in tons of buyers, but the real key, the secret sauce, was his transparency. He wrote down every single transaction. I mean, meticulously. He created this crystal clear paper trail for everything.
Okay, so time passes and all the goods are finally sold. This is it, the moment of truth. Hamza hands over all his detailed records to Abdullah. And this is when Abdullah is going to find out, was the reputation real or was it just talk?
So Abdullah goes through everything, every single entry, every calculation. He checks it all. And after all that searching, you know how many mistakes he found? A big, fat 0. Nothing. Not one coin was missing. Everything was accounted for perfectly. Abdullah was just floored. He was amazed. He basically tells Hamza, you know what? You really, truly deserve that title, especially, he says, in a world where it's so easy to be dishonest. Hamza had proved without a doubt that his character was worth more than any of the gems he just sold.
So you can see this story is about so much more than just a business deal, right? It's a fantastic example of the things that actually make up what we call trust. So let's break that down a little bit. First up, we've got integrity. What's that? It's really just about being honest and sticking to your morals, even when it's hard. I mean, think about it. Hamza could have easily taken a little extra profit for himself. Who would have known? But he didn't, because his principles meant more. His actions lined up perfectly with what he believed.
And the second piece of the puzzle is transparency. This one's simple. It just means being totally open and not having anything to hide. Hamza's detailed records, that's a perfect example. He showed Abdullah everything, every single sale, and that is what built that incredible trust between them.
So the moral of the story is pretty simple, but man, is it powerful. Your character, that's your most valuable asset. When you act with truth and integrity, it's not just about doing the right thing. It builds a kind of respect that you just can't buy. Okay, so you might be thinking, that's a nice story, but what does it have to do with me today? And the answer is, well, everything. Let's bring these big ideas right back home to our own lives for a minute.
So now it's your turn. Just take a second to reflect. Look at these virtues on the screen. Honesty, trustworthiness, integrity. Where do you think you really shine? And, hey, where is there maybe a little room for improvement? This isn't about being hard on yourself. Not at all. It's just a good moment to check in.
And I'll leave you with one last thing to think about. Who is the Hamza in your life? Seriously, if you could hand out an award for the most trustworthy person you know, who would get it? And why them? I think when we recognize that quality in other people, it really reminds us just how valuable it is. Thanks so much for joining me for this.